It is the Two Guys Garage Podcast. He is Kevin Bird. I am Willie B. Fired up today. You know why, Kev? That's right, bro. We're talking cool, man. Cool as cool gets. And I love this guy, man. I have this guy on my radio show all the time. He's just salt of the earth. And I love this dude because he's out grinding, man. He's still one of those guys that is in the thick of it. Even on his business card, it says president. This dude is in the mix. He lives, eats, breathes hot rods, and keeping it cool. And I mean cool as far as the cab cool, not just aesthetic.
You gotta have
you know
both,
what I'm saying?
man. You know, you can have all the threads, you can have the style, you can have the presence. But you know, if you're sweating your ass off, man, that's not gonna jive, man. That's not cool. Nobody wants to be in that position.
No, man, and I got a huge ass to sweat off. So I'm just gonna leave that right there. Now, look, man, but one thing I'll tell you, there's two things in my opinion, especially with this massive resurgence. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. I adore every platform, all the crazy builds that are going on right now in the world, explosion around these older cars gaining, momentum, life, personality, because so many people are throwing, LSs, Coyotes, Hemis, that's crazy Hellcat swaps into everything nowadays. So for me, I love the fact that these things are coming back to life. And really, Rick and his company is so essential in what he does, making all that tie together, making it look right, run right, making the entire, Fiat system work right, and getting cold air in the cab of the car. We're talking Rick from Vintage Air today is going to be packed up, jammed up with cool points because he's the man to bring them to us. I got so many of my old hot rods. I didn't look at the schedule today, bro, until earlier, and I'd already moved my Hellcat Red Eye in the mix behind me. But man, I've got 3 or 4 cars out in the shop that, thank God, they've got Rick's systems on. And man, if they didn't, it's night and day. The two biggest impacts I think you can make on an older car is an upgraded transmission instead of banging the old 3 gears, right? And also putting Vintage Air on it, because Vintage Air, I'm telling you, man, it is the premier cooling system, and it just absolutely takes a ride from a zero to a hero in a heartbeat.
I mean, they are pretty much the only real game out there in AC systems for anything kind of hot rodding and customizing and all that stuff. They have every part piece. They have every expertise. They're constantly upgrading, making better systems. They fit, they function, and they make you cool. And, it's funny because I was thinking back, my first hot rod, I had a 3rd gen Camaro way back in the day. And, to make it go faster somehow, I gutted all the AC out. Something was wrong with it. So instead of fixing it, stripped it out. I'm a hot rodder. I'm going to go fast. Well, it was a black car and I lived in Florida. Talk about how smart was I, Man, that's talking about sweating right there.
Yeah, man. Dude, 71 Dodge Charger. And I had the whole SS deal, big blocks, 3 in it. I did the same thing. I tore the AC out of it, and it worked, man. That would have been such a cool car to, keep on the road. But yeah, man, I tore it up, put a big block in it, all this nonsense. People forget, man, about all those creature comforts. And once you get in a car that has those, along with the performance and power that we were trying to wring out of our mediocre big blocks, it really is amazing. You're like, God, I sure miss AC.
Well, you can tell right out of the gate. You go on like a hot rod power tour. You got thousands of hot rods from all over the country, cruising down 2-lane roads. A lot of times you're getting stuck in traffic. You're getting 0 wind velocity, and you can tell everybody that's got their AC and their hot rod, windows are up, man. They're smiling. Everything is great. They got their tunes on. And then you can see all the guys that don't have the AC, their windows are down. They're just panting out the side, sweating bullets. Every stop you get to, they're literally fatigued out from being overheated all afternoon. They don't want to hang out. They don't want to drink pops. They just want to go cool off in their hotel room or whatever. And that tells you right there the importance of AC.
Rick, that's got to be one of the most common times you hear from a new consumer is after some long cruise or a day out in the hot rod, and they just couldn't take it anymore. And they're like, all right, I'm calling Vintage Air. This is the system I need. That's got to be one of the premier ways that you find new customers.
Well, usually when you're at a show, it's the wife or the girlfriend that's dragging the guy up to the booth saying, you know what, you're going to take care of this or I'm done. That's exactly right.
Yeah. If you want this to be a multi-person activity, You need to have some AC in there.
That's exactly the days of being like the hound dog, like you said, Kevin, hanging the head out the window with the tongue out. That's just not cool anymore.
I mean, we did it as kids. AC was kind of a special thing back then. And our parents especially. So, but we've just got accustomed to, and a lot more people are living down south where it's hotter. And then you get these hot days, Midwest and up north. So, even those limited times, man, being able to just reach over there and flip that lever.
You guys got to go online. You got to check out Vin and Jared, man. These guys have so many solutions to probably issues, problems, some of those hurdles that, sort of finishing up that build, that platform, tying everything together, making everything run, look, and function real smooth. He's got so many answers. And the big game that he's been in for so long, and he's really changed the world of hot rodding, is bringing AC systems into cars that you would never expect to have an AC unit. And really, it's been amazing to watch the growth and how many people all of a sudden just got to have AC, man. It really has been something, to watch. You blow that market up. But so long, most of us, that was the first thing we took out. And I think it was probably, weight of the condenser? Probably that was a big thing. It robbed a little horsepower.
Oh, that pulley on the compressor. I mean, that's got to be so much drag right there, Well, what's cool is it doesn't matter what you have. You could have a specific vehicle. You can get a SureFit kit. So you have everything you need, for all the common platforms. You can do a builder series. So if you're building something wild and off the wall and maybe never had AC in it from the factory, you've got all the components and pieces that you can put together, a complete kit and setup. They got everything from, the controls and vents and things like that for, all the hot rod guys that, again, are starting from scratch.
Rick, how did you start out, man? What was the first idea, or, how did you spawn the whole thing?
Well, Jack Chisenhall was our founder, and he started in 1976. And, living here in San Antonio, Jack kind of saw a need for air conditioning in a hot rod. And there wasn't a lot of it then. You saw a hot rod air conditioned back then. It was basically parts that you got robbed out of a junkyard or an old knee knocker under dash, something like that was kind of what you saw. And Jack rightly figured if you could basically make a system that was designed to package in a smaller car, designed to look good or be out of the way, that you could really get people involved with this. And, back there in the 70s, guys were starting to drive a little farther to events. You started having Street Rod Nationals. You started having other events that were cross country. And when you're driving cross country, having an air-conditioned, comfortable vehicle, man, that's huge in making that trip. And it's huge in getting your wife or girlfriend to come along, too.
Bro, such a big player in the game, man. How many of us, fought to get our girls to go anywhere in our cars back in the day? And a big reason, because AC, man. But there's a dude stealing your girl because he's got AC. So, yeah, don't be a punk. Put AC in your car. Keep AC. And that's what's great, man. He saw the need for this. And really, it's been amazing just because over the years, when I first, used to check you guys out, you had a few SKUs, but my God, to see the explosion over the last, decade here has just been amazing.
Yeah, we've put a lot of effort into getting coverage. And Kevin, you mentioned earlier about the SureFit kits. And I mean, we've got close to 170 different SureFit kits now.
Explain what that is, because a lot of people, they hear, that SureFit kit, but I don't know that they know the extent of what you guys have gone to make it look like it came from the factory of that era and that time with that car. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, our SureFit kits are basically systems designed for a specific vehicle. And with that, I mean, it's a bolt-in system, very little modification to the vehicle, whether it was a factory air vehicle originally or whether it was a non-air vehicle originally. We've got kits for both designs. And in most cases, we try to utilize the factory controls if possible. If they were cable operated controls, we have a converter that'll convert that cable operation to electronic operation. All of our systems are electronically controlled. If the system's one of those vacuum type systems, we've got replacement control panels that kind of mimic the look of the factory control. And we've also got a lot of upgrade polished aluminum or black anodized. We've got a lot of upgrade choices too, so you can personalize that look while you're adding that to your car. So But a SureFit system is that. It is a system designed for a specific vehicle, and it's a complete system. Heat, cool, defrost, and it comes with the compressor and compressor bracket, condenser for in front of the radiator, and your hoses and lines you're going to need, and the inside heat, cool, defrost evaporator or the air handler case, and then again controls conversion or controls and louvers perhaps, and again whatever you need basically to get that system in your car.
Yeah, man, it's wild to see these systems because so many of our cars, especially from that era, they had those louvered vents, right? You would turn, and those little louvers would always break or snap off. People probably hung roach clips on them or garter belts or, little tree, air fresheners breaking every single one of them. It was wild because you used to always see that nonsense. Most of them got tore up, beat up, and all that stuff. So you actually have these replacement vents. You have this, the way that it looks is so cool because it looks identical. If it's a 70 Charger, it looks like, they have those special knobs. They have special levers, everything that they use, even down to the feel of it, in that old mechanical kind of dunk, 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 dunk. You kind of feel every part of that. It's really cool, the integration. I think that's what really set you guys so far above every other player in the game because you truly – man, you make it look so era and car and application specific. It's wild to look at it being something other than factory.
We try to respect that original look, while also having options available to where you can change that original look if you want, So yeah, we do try to mimic that factory look where it's possible. And we've got some louvers that are very similar to what the factory used. And again, if it's something that you're in the process of resto modding your car and you want to upgrade it, and we've got opportunities to do that too. We've got some louvers that look different. You went through that with your Charger.
Yeah, man. What about the circular crazy louvers that spun 360? You have those fancy little doodads and the Trans Ams?
Yeah. Exactly. There was some really cool looking stuff then when you look back to the 60s and 70s. And we try to integrate that wherever we can.
So what about the customer that has a vehicle that did not come with AC? Right. So none of those registers and stuff are there. What do you have for those folks?
In a lot of cases, we have several different choices. The standard kit will, in most cases, include an under dash louver package. So if you don't want to cut into the original dash, you don't have to. In some cases, the more popular vehicles, the Chevelles, the Mustangs, the Camaros, a lot of cases like that, the factory air louvers and in-dash vents are available in a reproduction. So you can integrate them into your dash if you want to duplicate that factory air look. Or again, if you don't want to cut into the dash and you just want to put the louvers under the dash, we've got that option available too. So that's one of the great things is you have several different options to make the car look the way you want it to look and go with the interior theme that you have. If you've got an original type interior theme, that's one thing. If you're updating the interior with a different type of look, then we've got some parts available that'll help you do that.
All right. So I got one for you. So my wakeboard boat, it's got, a little heater vent, because you're ideally wakeboarding as soon as you got, ice off the water and just before it freezes over. So, and you're freezing when you get out. It's got a vent and you can pull it right out with a hose and stuff it in your wetsuit. Do you have that option?
We have had guys do that. We actually make a heater defroster or a heater kit that people use in a lot of their roadsters. And it's set up to be a heater defroster where you have a dump on the bottom for heat. And then you have two 2-inch outlets that you can hook up to defrost vents. You can also put a hose in that outlet if you want and run it up right inside your shirt, just like you do on your wetsuit, And if you're driving that roadster in the wintertime and you're trying to get a little warm air up in there, you can do that too. And actually, I remember years ago, we went to an event in Aspen, Colorado. Americruise went up to Aspen, Colorado. And a friend of mine had a 41 Merc and convertible, didn't have a top for it. And he actually took one of the vent hoses for the AC and unhooked it from his louver and stuffed it up his shirt. So he was putting the AC up his shirt going down the road.
That's hilarious, man. Or in the winter, if you caught it'd be the heater hose in your pants and people look at it really different. Look, either way.
Hey, just keep it under a blanket. It's all, under a blanket, nobody knows.
But either way, man, it's really cool to see the answers and the solutions to so many people's problems. Because if you don't have AC, taking your car out truly is a problem. It's a headache. it becomes uncomfortable really fast, especially in anything remotely close to traffic. And, it really just blows up a cruise night. You get out of the car, your shirt's stuck to your back. You got a big old wet stain. It's just, ugh. And you really make getting in these older cars cool again. And man, what a refreshing. There's got to be so many people put so many miles on their car because of you and your team.
Well, the other thing people don't realize or think about in many cases when you're putting AC in the car, just having that ability to have your windows up when you're going down the road, man, just count the 18 wheelers on the road anymore. And man, drive by one of those with your windows down. The noise, the air coming in, the bugs, all the humidity. The cold air is a big part of it. But man, when you can actually hear each other talk or listen to a podcast or listen to some music, that's a big part of comfort in your vehicle. Not just the cool air, but just having that quieter environment.
Hey, some husbands out there right now are getting rid of their vintage AC system. Some of their husbands right now are taking it out of their car because they don't want to hear that. Too much.
You can always use your earbud.
Well, even when you start thinking about hot rods as kind of dailies or long trips, you're on your hands-free phone, right? Same kind of thing. You can have your work meeting on the way in with your cool hot rod, just because you can roll the windows up, right?
Right. And, more guys are doing that. I mean, my daily driver right now, I've got an 87 Monte Carlo Aero Coupe. That's what I drive every day.
Oh, an Aero Coupe. What? Oh, you had to say 87 Monte Carlo. You flipped the script when you said Aero Coupe. Goofy window. They ran out of rear windows, so they started putting front windshields on the back of Monte Carlos.
Exactly.
The Aero Coupe is wild. It's so what were they thinking? You got one of those, huh? Those production numbers are low, man.
Yeah, they made about a little over 6,000 of them in 87. I had one back when they first came out, put almost 300,000 miles on it, and always liked that car. And, Kevin, you were talking about your old Camaro earlier, your third gen, how cheaply you sold it. It was the same way with that Aero Coupe. I sold it for next to nothing back in the early 2000s. And, man, I always kind of missed that car. It was one I really enjoyed driving. And a couple of years ago, I went looking for another one and finally found just a fairly low mileage original car. And man, they're stupid money. The G bodies anymore, like the third gen Camaros. I mean, the prices.
It's absurd. Hey, I was at an auction just literally 3 days ago, and I couldn't believe it. A third gen Camaro. It had a decent number of miles, somewhere in the 60,000 range. It was immaculate. I'll give the guy credit. It had the IROC covers and all the flossy glossy came with it. It had every brochure on it. The build sheet, the original window sticker. He had everything on his car. The only thing that was missing was a satin jacket that said Camaro. But that thing went for like $27,000. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned.
I think you're going to see a lot of those era cars just keep skyrocketing,
And it's all about, I think it's all about nostalgia for that. If that's what you grew up with, that was cool. Like that Aero Coupe with me, man, that was a cool car when I was growing up. And it's funny, like I said, I drive that car every day, and I can drive my old 39 Ford, and you stop at the store or something like that, and people just kind of ignore it. I'll stop and put gas in that darn Aero Coupe, or stop at the grocery store. And oh man, I haven't seen one of those in a while. It's just cool.
Brings it back.
I imagine with the demand now, more than ever, probably Fox body Mustangs, which are wild, Gen 3 Camaros, crazy, some of these G bodies. And I'm 100% certain you're probably exploding in the truck world from the 80s as well, right?
Yeah, the trucks have been hot for a long time. 67 to 72s were hot years ago. They were really popular. And then guys moved into the square bodies and, the 73 to 87s. And they got to the point. And now recently, the most recent kit we just released last week is we've done a new system now, a SureFit system for the 88 to 94 OBS trucks. That's our newest release.
Those things are hot right now. We just had a build on this last season. Big yellow one. LS swapped and yeah.
But, they're great looking trucks. They really are. They're great looking trucks. They're a good size. I mean, you look at a new pickup today, how huge just a half-ton pickup is. And man, that old body style pickup is just a really good size. They got a great look to them. And man, they easy LS swap like you did in it and everything. I mean, yeah, they're I see all the brake kits available and suspension kits for them and everything now. I mean, those trucks are really
Yeah, I was going
hot.
to say the aftermarket's just jumping on it. And so you've got all the replacement parts, interior panel parts, you name it, plus the
Yeah.
upgrades that you can do to make them way better than they were from the factory.
Hey, it's good, man, because I had a
Yeah.
1992, one of the Z71s, and it was straight ratchet trash.
Yeah.
I live out in Colorado, and he couldn't climb up the top of them Rockies without just panting and having his tongue hanging out. I was like, wow, they look cool, but they're so underpowered in altitude. So I'm glad they're coming back, but my God, that truck performance-wise was taking off like a turtle in peanut butter. It was awful. But again, when you're looking at these, these crazy applications that I've all of a sudden exploded, what else are you doing these SureFit kits with? I'm sure, like we mentioned, all the old K5 Blazers probably pretty hot right now. Got some of those square
Yeah.
bodies. What else is kind of big from the 80s world that you might not think about?
Well, we just talked about the G bodies. We've got a kit, a bolt-in system for the G bodies, for the Monte Carlos and for the Regals and the Cutlasses and the Grand Nationals. And that's been that kit has really taken off. And those we just released several weeks ago, released the new 82 to 92 Camaros, the third gen Camaro kit. So we've got a bolt-in SureFit kit for the third gen Camaro. Includes an all new control panel, frees up a lot of space under the hood where that huge evaporator used to sit. Everything's inside the vehicle now. So you got a lot more room for engine swaps. And again, makes a big difference when you're upgrading these cars. Now you've got an electronically controlled system, more efficient than the factory systems were, a whole lot lighter than the factory systems were, and a lot more performance out of them.
So for most car owners, how difficult is it to install most of these systems? Are they capable of it? Now, clearly, when you got to do the charging and everything else, take it into your shop. But as far as, kind of bolting in the condenser, running the lines, all that stuff, what do you find for most of your customers?
Their systems are designed to be put in by a do-it-yourself guy, and there's no fabrication. Our brackets make it a bolt-in hole. The whole system's a bolt-in, and we put all of our instruction manuals online. We've also got videos. We're doing videos of our newest systems as well, and some of the newer cars are a little more difficult. I mean, put a heater core on a Camaro, you got to pull the entire instrument panel and dash out of the car to do it. Same way to put our system in. You basically have to pull the dash out of the car to do it. But again, it's all nuts and bolts, and it's all for the guy that's building his own car. Again, it's a bolt-in system. There's no fabrication involved. It's just disassembly and reassembly. And our instruction manuals are really detailed. And we always encourage guys, hey, all our instructions are online. Take a look at it. Take a look at the job. Take a look at the videos that we've done. And you can kind of make the decision if that's something you want to tackle in your shop or whether you want to go to a more, guy that's got a little more experience.
Yeah, man, it's great resource, and there's a lot of questions already answered there waiting for you guys to check out. Look, we'd be derelict in our duty if we didn't ask you about these cool systems that you created that really finish off somebody's build. And it's I can't remember just the last. It's so funny, man, because we were bringing this up in the last shoot. Kevin and I were at lunch talking to one of the guys there on the set, and we were like, "Man, have you seen what Vintage Air is building?" No, hold it. When it comes to the whole front VIH system, this is what you got to see. And I'm like, "Look at this." We were bringing up on the phones, yeah, and we were like, "Look at the systems they have to finish off your build and tie it all together." You guys have really knocked it out of the park with these things, man, and they are unbelievable. So tell us, a little bit about these.
Well, our front drive systems, we were basically the pioneer on the aftermarket front accessory drive systems, and our front runner was the first one. And we started with a small block Chevrolet, that was the most popular at the time in the early 2000s, moved into the big block, and now we've got coverage for Coyote or small block Ford, and also the LS and LT. And we've got several different complete front drive systems where it has a compressor and 170 amp alternator and water pump and pulleys and basically everything you need for the front of the engine. So it's a great looking system and very functional. I mean, serpentine belt, spring tension serpentine belt on there like the OEMs do. So not only is it a great looking system, it's a very functional system and very robust and stands up to hard performance.
And it modernizes the entire front. And that's
Mm-hmm.
normally, if you're looking at problems, issues, especially on things like a power tour, just going back and forth cruising, it's normally up in there, right? Because maybe you have something just a
Yeah.
little bit off, or a little wearing odd, or some wiring that doesn't fit behind this piece that rubs a little wrong or whatever. You really made it super clean and really easy to address what normally is big problems and hurdles to get lined up, paired up, matched up, and working functionally right. It's amazing the headaches you've removed.
That's the whole goal, is to try to make it easy and make it look good at the same time.
Well, we all know the old bracketry that comes with a lot of the older engines, right? I mean, you're scouring junkyards. It's floppy, flimsy, right? It doesn't have the best alignment to it. You got all these belts you're trying to adjust separately, and if you try to add a component like an AC compressor, especially a modern AC compressor, from the old school ones, try to get all that stuff to fit in the line and work properly and not look like crap. So you guys cleaned it all up, tucked it all up. Like Willie said, it's all modernized. I mean, it is the system to kind of benchmark and check out for so many applications now, right? You said you had small block LS, you had other ones too, the Ford ones.
LT and small block Ford, and a big part of it too is the performance aspect of it. The more electronic components we add to vehicles now, you start to add fuel injection and electric fans and things. A V-belt alternator that you're going to get maybe 120 amps out of before they start slipping on a V-belt. You've darn near got to have a serpentine belt, a multi-groove belt, and have good wrap on it to get that kind of performance out of an alternator. Our front runners, the standard alternators, 170 amps, gives you 140 at idle. And we have options available. You can go up to a 320 amp alternator with a single alternator. Yeah. And, with the performance requirements that you have with all these electrical components that we're adding to our cars now, the modern brushless fan and electric fuel pumps, and again, the fuel injection and a good stereo, you got to have the power available to run all of those.
It's insane, and the difference it makes, the impact it has night and day. And again, it's just something that you guys will work with people, sort of help them on the build and working through some problems. This is where you guys really shine and go that extra mile. But man, does it wrap up a build like you wouldn't believe.
Well, it's great because our people here are hot rodders. I mean, we've got hot rodders that are on the phones, and this is what they do, what they like to do, and they enjoy talking people through their products, through their projects. I mean, that's a big part of what we do.
Yeah, I've been working with these guys for 20 plus years. I mean, I think the first overhauling build, I think had vintage air in it. It had the front runner system on it. I don't know how many different vehicles we put these systems in, and even my BMW. I've got a first gen E30 M3 with an LS swap in it. I needed a smaller compressor for packaging. Call up Rick, what can I use? Right, the condenser, upsized it. Changed it from the old refrigerant to the new refrigerant. What do I need to replace and swap out? And I've got a kick-ass ice cold system in a complete build your own type of situation. So you don't have to be scared, right? These pieces and parts kind of all bolt together. You just kind of run the plumbing from one to the next. And man, you reel it into your shop and they fill it up and you're riding cool. You're
serving cool points, baby, from both sides.
That's right. That's right.
So Rick, man, when people are thinking about systems, where do they start? Is it easiest just to call you guys and kind of start the process with you guys and what they might need or what they can get? And a lot of people, when these modern drivetrains are going into some of these older cars, are they able to harvest some of the parts or components from an old builder? Recommend going with a system that all works and is tested true together? What's kind of the best route to take?
We always want to, if you're putting AC on a car, you always want to go with a new compressor. Some factory compressors will work, like some of the Mopar compressors are a fixed displacement compressor and they'll be compatible with our systems, but you want to go with a new compressor. And that's where our guys that can talk you through this always help. And you might have a local dealer that does a lot of vintage air installations. That's another guy to talk to. We've got a great distribution network nationwide. But hey, our guys are always available to give advice and talk you through what parts you're going to need. And when we talked about SureFit kits earlier, any of those parts and pieces are available separately as well. So if you want to start off with a certain component, all that's available separately.
What's the system cost, man? What are most SureFits? What's the base entry level sort of price to get into it, and some of the lower tier kits? and some of the bigger, more fancier setups, what are we talking about?
Complete system, you're in the $2,100
So worth
range
it.
for a complete system with basic components, and then you can kind of go from there. But that's one of our new Gen 5 systems and everything, and that's basically condenser, compressor bracket, your hoses, and your inside heat cool defrost system with the controls conversion and all of that. That's basically the complete system.
Yeah, that's a great deal to keep the family unit together.
Man,
To keep the better half happy. Happy wife, happy life. Man.
Exactly.
Hey, and I got a question, man, for us guys. So I'm building this old school retro hot rod, a 60 Bel Air, right? It's got an old school big block in it, big 572 dart, setup, and doing fuel injection, a Tremec 6-speed with a little bit of suspension brakes on it. But it's gonna be my family hop in old school hot rod. I got that sort of patina where it looks kind of, it's a 20-footer. It's a little rough from the outside, but when you get in it, underneath it, everything's perfect on it. So something like that, I'm going to use you guys. What's a kit that, I believe this car, again, it's kind of rough on the outside, but the interior, underneath the hood, underneath the car is going to be sweet. Definitely got to have vintage air. What am I looking at for the hose system? All these, old school big block Chevys, that we used to see from days gone by. There's still a few of us out there. What about us guys?
Well, like you said, we got multiple options depending on what you want to do. We've got a bolt-in SureFit kit for the inside of the 60 Chevrolet that hooks up to your factory control panel. Or, hey, if you want to keep that original old look and put an underdash, the old knee knocker underdash in there to go with that, we've got one from the 60s, the Mark IV, that's made from tooling from the 60s. That's a complete, basically, reproduction of that underdash Mark IV. So you've got some options there. Engine options, the same thing. Everything from a front runner right down to an individual compressor and alternator bracket. So
you got under your Surefire kit, you got a kit that says "Keep Mama Happy" kit, because that's the one I got to order.
It's any of those that'll do that will keep Mama happy.
All right, where do people find you on social media, boss? How do people keep up with what you guys are doing? Some of these cool projects, any info you guys have coming out, and some of the new SKUs.
On good old World Wide Web, it's vintageair.com, and we are on Instagram and Facebook as everyone else is, and just take a look for us. And you're still old school on the phone like some of us old guys are, man. It's 800-862-6658, and we're ready, willing, and able to have a good conversation.
Rick, what's your favorite hot rod, man?
Man, probably my 39 Ford I've had for darn near 40 years now. So
yeah, that's a cool one.
Wow. 39 Ford.
Got close to 200,000 miles on it all the way around. So
do you get it out much still?
Yeah, still do. I mean, I still drive. I had actually had it down for about 4 years rebuilding it. I had over 180,000 miles on it from 84 to about 2014. And finally the lacquer paint was falling off and the motor kind of gave up on the way back from Los Angeles from the Roadster show. And I figured it'd be a year project, but it ended up being about 4 years to completely go through the whole thing. But
that's a scale. That's about right. About 4 times whatever you think.
Yeah, that's car living. He's doing it right. Yeah, he's doing it right.
And then that's it. It's just the time, effort, and everything else. But we tried to make it look just like it did when I first got it done, and it turned out really good, man. It's a cool car. I enjoy it. I drive it to work pretty often, and the road tours we go on, that's usually what I take on the road tours.
Yeah, when you can take your hot rod into work, when you can take it through that commute, whatever that commute is, that's saying something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because we're getting more traffic like y'all.
And that crazy Monte Carlo thing, good Lord. All right, man, love it.
That's going to need an LS swap one of these days. Yeah. That 305, I had forgotten how weak those 305s were.
Yeah, man. Well, Hey, always pleasure having you on, man. You take care, buddy.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate your help and support. Anything we can do to help anytime, let us know.
Right on. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, man. These guys are fantastic. And so is this awesome show called Two Guys Garage, airing weekends on the Motor Trend Network. Check your local listings. It's also available on Motor Trend Plus, which is a streaming format. Great way to find us. Thanks to Mr. Rick Love, Vintage Air, vintageair.com. We love this guy, man. He is epic. You see him on all the shows. He truly lives for this lifestyle, for this hobby, and just is out there just crushing it for all of us. My man, Scoop, our producer. He is Kevin Bird. I'm Willie B. Executive producer Bob Ecker.
All right, and don't forget to check out our website too, twoguysgarage.com. We're on that www. And share your thoughts with us. We're on the social too, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Two Guys Garage. on the Two Guys Garage podcast. It's a copyright 2023 Breton Productions Incorporated. All rights reserved. All right, guys. Hope you learned something at least about how to stay cool. We'll catch you on the next Two Guys Garage podcast.